This is Dennis of Mophoto Detroit, and this is a practice podcast. And the podcast is going to be tonight concerning these things. DSLR cameras. Good stuff. You know, I know you're used to using your cell phone, and they're good, and they have very good cameras in them now. 5 years ago, not so good camera. Now they're very good. Don't blame you. Cell phones are also really good to carry around with you. You know, ladies can put them in their purse, and guys can put them in their pocket. You know, they're really good. But when it comes to photography, there is something left behind. I mean, the newer iPhones, yeah, they're pretty nifty, man. You know, and I like the quality of a single lens reflex. A single lens reflex means just like that. It's got one lens instead of the up and down two lenses. You can adjust all the settings here on the mode dial. The mode dial is very significant. You can go to manual mode, aperture mode, shutter speed mode, and for program mode. All of those modes have different settings and they must be overcome. But for the beginner, if you get a DSLR, I recommend that you go to automatic mode. Automatic mode is probably the easiest thing. Just put it on there and that's all you have to do. Just put it on automatic. You raise your camera, turn it on, snap the picture. Simple as that. Okay. Manual mode. Manual mode offers me the opportunity to set the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. ISO can be equated to what we used to use in film. It's called ASA. The ASA of Kodak film was, some of it was 65, some of it was 400 if you went to Tri-X film. But the bigger the ISO or the bigger the ASA in those days, the bigger the ASA, the larger the silver particles on the film. The larger the silver particles, then you get the more roughness in your pictures. You know, they are not as sharp and crisp as when you use a lower ASA. ISO is the same thing. If you set your camera to 100 ISO, that's what you're going to shoot at, okay? You don't have to worry about setting that again. Then you pick the shutter speed. Pick a shutter speed that is easy for you to hold, so when you shoot the picture, you don't blur it. A typical person will use a minimum 1/60th of a second. Some people are a little bit shakier, and when they push that shutter button down, they move the camera, and that they need a 125th of a second. So you pick your ISO, you pick a shutter speed that is comfortable for you to shoot at, and the last one you set will be your aperture. All you have to do is turn your aperture until you get that needle on the inside of your viewfinder right in the middle. And that's as simple as that. So the ISO is set, your shutter speed is set, and then you simply turn the aperture until you center the needle. There's a word to say about f-stops, okay, the aperture. The smaller the aperture, the way it closes down, and you'll see that in the picture up here, is the more depth of field you have. Depth of field is something, sir, where if you have 3 cans sitting in a row, you can focus on this one, the front one, and have the other 2 cans out of focus. Or you can focus on the middle one and you can have the front one and the back one out of focus. Or you can center on the back one and you can have the front two out of focus. Or you can have all of them in focus. It's up to you, using your aperture. Keep in mind the depth of field. So, when using a DSLR camera, you're going to need a SD card, you know, one of those memory cards, and you're going to need a charged battery. That's a given. And then you're going to have to keep in mind, for the first few thousand shots you take, shoot them on automatic without a flash. Then turn it up one notch to the green automatic, and that is automatic with a flash. And when you do that, your flash will pop up, okay? I don't have a battery in this one right now, but that is the simplest thing I can say. So let's review. Shooting in manual mode is something you can wait to do. For now, shoot in automatic mode, automatic without a flash. Take pictures, focus on them. Think about your composition, okay? How you want to frame your subject. Do that, and then you'll see that you are liking what you're doing, and it's much better than a cell phone. Whenever you decide to go and take video, it's much the same. You just put it in live view on your camera, and then you hit the record button, and you'll see on your back screen whether it's dark or light. Just make those adjustments with the aperture and the shutter speed to see which one you're going to use in order to get the exposure you want. Most of these newer cameras have what they call stabilization, and the stabilization is great. Stabilization allows you to stop all that bouncy stuff, you know, and you know, it's kind of cool, you know, because they work really well. Okay, so that's enough of this test for now. I have another episode that I'm going to do. I got to check this one and see how the sound is and all of that. But for right now, that's all from MoPhoto, and I hope you enjoy your photography.
Arr, 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 arr.